Honestly, I feel humiliated by that game and our strategy and performance. Mere weeks after that declaration, the Nuggets unleashed a shockwave. Coach Michael Malone, the man who led them to their inaugural NBA championship, was let go. And make no mistake, this was no April Fool's prank. So what truly transpired? Some tension in the locker room, politics within the front office, or was Malone's post-game criticism the breaking point? We're on the verge of discovery, a surprising choice that rattled the NBA. I regard Michael Malone as a coach of considerable passion and skill. However, as time went on, I feel his influence waned. Additionally, his intense demeanor might have rubbed some people the wrong way. Picture this, it's April 8th, 2025, with only 3 games remaining in the regular season. The Nuggets find themselves at a solid 47-32, placing them 4th in the competitive Western Conference. Suddenly, the shocking update arrives. Both head coach Michael Malone and general manager Calvin Booth have been terminated. Not just one, but both key figures responsible for Denver's remarkable 2023 championship victory. The timing caught NBA Twitter by surprise, leading to widespread outrage. Seriously, who lets go of a championship-winning coach just as the playoffs approach? The Nuggets found themselves in a fierce competition for home court supremacy, engaged in a showdown with the Clippers, while narrowly fending off multiple teams hot on their trail. Even the most experienced NBA analysts were taken aback by the timing of this choice. However, that's merely scratching the surface. To fully grasp why Nuggets owner Josh Kroenke made this move, we must delve into the underlying issues. This situation extended far beyond a simple 4-game slump. It was rooted in something significantly more profound. Let's take a moment to understand Michael Malone's evolution with the Nuggets. Upon his arrival in 2015, Denver was in disarray, having just concluded a 30-52 season. Fast forward to today, and he's completely revitalized the franchise, achieving 8 straight winning seasons, securing 6 playoff berths, reaching the Western Conference Finals in 2020, and clinching that coveted championship in 2023. His regular season performance with Denver stands at an impressive 471 wins to 327 losses, translating to a 0.590 winning percentage. In the postseason, where many coaches struggle, Malone maintained his resilience with a playoff record of 44 wins and 36 losses, giving him a 0.550 percentage. The man has truly cemented his place as the most successful coach in Nuggets history. He transformed the unrefined talent of Nikola Jokic into a 3-time MVP and champion. On the surface, it appears utterly insane to let go of a coach with such an impressive record. After all, Malone was the sole NBA head coach Jokic had ever known. Their bond seemed indestructible until it wasn't. So what led to this shift? What transpired so disastrously that the Nuggets front office determined they had no option but to part ways with the individual who had led them to basketball triumph? The 2024-25 season had taken an unexpected turn. Following the All-Star break, the Nuggets managed a mere 11-13 record. This was a significant drop from the prowess they exhibited during their championship season. Their defense, once a hallmark of their success, plummeted to 20th in the league rankings. They faced a punishing 4-game slump, falling to Minnesota, the Lakers, Washington, and even the struggling Indiana Pacers. To add to their woes, Jamal Murray, the squad's second star, missed 5 consecutive games due to a hamstring injury, leaving the team devoid of energy. It was becoming evident that this Nuggets squad was not quite right. However, the plot thickens, folks, as reported by various insiders. The problems extended far beyond mere losses or defensive lapses. The initial clash of the Cold War was unfolding within the Nuggets organization. On one side was Michael Malone, a dynamic and fervent coach with a definitive perspective on team structure. Opposing him was GM Calvin Booth, whose aspirations for the franchise diverged sharply. The discord between their visions was profound and irreconcilable. This wasn't merely a trivial quarrel, it ran much deeper. Insiders referred to it as a brewing organizational Cold War since the 2023 championship. Tensions were palpable, with reports of scant communication between the coach and GM, and even confrontations occurring in sight of other personnel. But what was the root of their conflict? Essentially, it revolved around a core disagreement concerning team construction. Booth prioritized the drafting and nurturing of young, budget-friendly talents such as Christian Braun, Peyton Watson, and Jalen Pickett. This strategy was logical, considering the NBA's updated collective bargaining rules that complicated the retention of pricey lineups. Conversely, Malone emphasized winning with seasoned players. He relied on veterans like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Bruce Brown during their title chase. Hence, he was unhappy when Booth permitted them to depart in free agency. Malone had a reputation for being hesitant to give younger players significant minutes, opting instead for trusted veterans familiar with his gameplay philosophy. This situation turned sour, folks. The bond between them has broken down so badly that, as reported by the Denver Post, coaches have lost trust in the front office, while front office staff have also lost faith in the coaches. It led to a hazardous atmosphere spreading across the whole organization. That's merely one segment of this intricate enigma. the dynamics within the locker room, and the influence of Westbrook. Michael Malone wasn't solely recognized for his strategic skills. He was famed for his fervor. He approached coaching passionately, unreserved in expressing his thoughts and displaying his feelings. Throughout Denver's title chase, this fervor was perceived as an asset, but as time passed, indications emerged that Malone's intense style started to grate on the team members. What do you believe is the key factor behind his departure as the head coach of the Denver Nuggets? Personally, I believe it stems from him having lost the respect of the locker room. Once that happens, it's generally the end of the road for a coach. Consider a noteworthy event that underscores how Malone's way of communicating could have distanced certain players. Following a frustrating defeat against the Portland Trail Blazers in February 2025, Malone was outspoken in his post-game press briefing. He openly criticized his players, declaring they were lacking discipline and asserting that none of them reviewed their game footage. Picture being a pro athlete and hearing your coach tear into you like that in front of reporters. Such remarks can generate significant strain within the team dynamic. I encouraged anyone who disagreed with you to voice their thoughts. Yet, silence filled the room. Frankly, I'm more focused on being truthful about our performance. But wait, the unfolding drama isn't over, folks. A particularly intriguing element of this scenario centers on Russell Westbrook and the potential impact of his presence on the team dynamics. It's been noted that certain players harbored resentment regarding Michael Malone's treatment of Westbrook. He appeared to impose an exceptionally rigorous standard on the former MVP, who is recognized as a top-tier player. This tension was evident both in practice settings and during games. Reports indicate that certain Nuggets players were displeased with Malone's approach to Westbrook, but not in the expected sense. They weren't frustrated due to Malone's perceived harshness towards Russ. Instead, their concerns stemmed from Malone extending too much deference to Westbrook. Mike truly took into account Russ's entire legacy. He genuinely holds him in high regard. The players weren't fond of that. This situation led to an intriguing rift in the team. On one hand, there was Nikola Jokic, who seamlessly thrived alongside Westbrook's dedication and mindset. The one athlete you'd assume Russell would clash with is the standout player. Jokic, however, is just like, this is my partner. What counts for Jokic's strong bond with Westbrook? Interestingly, despite their contrasting styles on the court, both are renowned for their unmatched dedication and fierce competitive spirit. Jokic, who may seem relaxed at times, is fiercely committed to honing his skills, placing him among the most diligent players in the NBA. Meanwhile, Westbrook is known for his extraordinary intensity and rigorous preparation. In fact, Russell's approach mirrors that of Giannis in many ways. Each day in training, he's set on a singular path. At breakneck speed, he'll be there without fail, day in and day out. No rest days for him. The concept of taking a break is foreign to him. He'll get go-her ready. There aren't any breaks. He's unaware of how it appears. Michael and Malone, recognized for their emphasis on diligence and readiness, naturally aligned with Westbrook's method. This resulted in Malone showcasing Russ as a model for the entire team to emulate. Though it may seem appealing in principle, it fostered bitterness among certain players who believed they were being unjustly measured against Westbrook. Consequently, players started to think it's as if he's elevating Russ to a godlike status. Follow his lead. Mimic that style. This touches on one of the main dilemmas within the locker room. A set of athletes who achieved a championship with their established methods are now instructed to exert more effort and emulate a newcomer who arrived after their pinnacle success. This breeds an inherent conflict. Those with championship rings can showcase their accolades as evidence that their strategy is effective. However, Malone and Jokic, always striving for excellence, aimed for more than a single title. Their vision was to create a dynasty. They believed Westbrook's relentless drive was crucial for that next evolution. Additionally, the tension in the locker room highlighted the rift among various player groups. To me, the split appeared distinctly evident. Michael Malone's remarks have emerged, though the exact timing is unclear. He hinted that certain players lacked dedication, noting they weren't reviewing game footage unless prompted by a select few. Additionally, it appears Joker expressed dissatisfaction with the team's defensive performance this season. This indicates that while Jokic and perhaps Murray share Malone's drive for continual betterment, other team members seemed satisfied with their championship and were less open to further challenges. The strain was evident on the court as well. Viral footage captured heated disputes among players throughout the four-game slump in April 2025. Jokic demonstrated unusual sideline exasperation, while fiery confrontations arose between Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray. Such overt signs of discontent hinted at underlying problems brewing within the squad. Even Jokic expressed this with palpable excitement. David mentioned that the atmosphere fell off earlier. In what ways does the energy differ from their usual? There's undoubtedly been a shift, as I noted. If you aim to alter something, that's how it's accomplished. It's all about who's involved to make it occur. Additionally, reports indicate that Malone might have faced termination due to his passionate approach. It seems that Malone's bond with Nikola Jokic, once considered solid, has begun to show signs of tension. Sources indicated that Jokic was feeling worn out by Malone's intensity. In the words of one commentator, Michael Malone is an intense coach and a skilled one at that. However, as time wore on, his message may have lost its freshness. With that fading message comes a level of intensity that could become grating to some. Additionally, it seems there were players, coaching staff, and even executives who assessed the situation and concluded that the moment for a change had come, as things were beginning to feel burdensome. The three-time MVP continued to rack up impressive stats, averaging 30 points, 12.8 rebounds, and 10.2 assists per game, yet a sense of joy appeared absent from his gameplay. When Josh Kroenke opted to dismiss Malone, he spoke with Jokic first. Although Jokic didn't insist on keeping Malone, he allegedly accepted the choice. This is significant. It implies that while Jokic respected Malone, he wasn't advocating for his retention. I won't reveal what Josh shared with me, but I had some insight ahead of the rest. He made it clear that we reached a conclusion, not a debate. He explained his reasoning, and as I listened, I understood and accepted his perspective. I won't reveal what was shared with me. I'll keep that to myself. Numerous reports have painted the locker room as chaotic, largely due to Malone's coaching approach. The special treatment of Westbrook disturbed a few teammates, leading to a widening rift among various groups within the squad. The previously united Nuggets culture was rapidly disintegrating. However, the most telling sign of turmoil within the locker room was delivered by Malone himself. During the February press conference following the defeat to Portland, he not only critiqued his players' approach to reviewing game footage, but also doubted their dedication to bettering themselves. It was undeniably humiliating. Truly a farce. Who are we fooling here? With 11 games remaining, that's the level of commitment we show? Honestly, I feel ashamed of that performance and our overall mindset. When a coach openly doubts his players' dedication to improvement, it's a clear indication that the dynamic has seriously declined. The issues in the locker room were evident, but could they really be severe enough to warrant dismissing a championship-winning coach with only 3 games remaining in the regular season? Let's dive into it. The tactical overhaul and Jokic's prospects are on the table. To start, we must address the timing of this move. Dismissing a head coach with only 3 games remaining in the regular season is nearly unheard of for a team vying for the playoffs. So, what prompted Josh Kroenke to act at this moment? Reports indicate that Kroenke drew inspiration from the Memphis Grizzlies' decision to dismiss Taylor Jenkins late in the season. He felt that a shift in coaching could reinvigorate the team as they approached the playoffs, aiming to rescue a season that appeared to be derailing. The Nuggets were locked in a fierce battle for playoff standings, tied with the Clippers and holding a slim lead over several other contenders. With home court advantage at stake and the Western Conference's intense competition, each game was crucial. Kroenke made a bold move, believing that a coaching transition just before playoffs could ignite a resurgence. So, who did he select to spearhead this revival? David Atelman, a longtime member of the organization recognized for his composed nature and offensive acumen, a notable difference from Malone's intense style. Atelman had sought head coaching roles with other franchises, proving he wasn't just an untested assistant tossed into a challenging situation. At first, the outcomes appeared to confirm Kroenke's choice. Atelman kicked off his interim stint with a 2-0 mark, highlighted by a victory over Sacramento. The squad appeared revitalized, showcasing a sense of freedom and happiness that had vanquished during their recent 4-game slump. However, this choice transcended merely rescuing the 2024-25 season. It aimed at a larger vision, safeguarding Nikola Jokic's prime and ensuring the franchise's future prosperity. Now, let's focus on Jokic for a moment. At 30, the 3-time MVP was firing on all cylinders. His statistics for the 2024-25 season were astonishing. 30 points, 12.8 boards, and 10.2 dimes each game. We're discussing one of the top talents of his era, a phenom who fundamentally transformed the role of a center in today's NBA. When you possess a talent like Jokic, overlooking any season of his prime is simply not an option. The Nuggets recognize this and aim to resolve any issues that could jeopardize this invaluable chance. Now, let's revisit the clash between Malone and Calvin Booth, as it's key to grasping the strategic overhaul at hand. The philosophical rift between them went beyond mere personal disagreements. It highlighted 2 legitimate yet opposing philosophies regarding team construction in the contemporary NBA. Booth's method centered on nurturing emerging talents such as Christian Braun, Peyton Watson, and Jalen Pickett. This tactic was financially prudent, especially in light of the NBA's recent collective bargaining agreement, which complicated the ability of teams to keep costly rosters over time. By focusing on the growth of young, economically viable players, Booth aimed to establish a lasting framework that would sustain the Nuggets' competitiveness during Jokic's peak years and into the future. Malone, on the other hand, was singularly concentrated on immediate victory. He favored experienced players such as Caldwell Pope and Bruce Brown from Contavia. These veterans were instrumental in clinching the 2023 title, and his hesitance to utilize younger talents has been widely noted. Recent reports indicated a specific unwillingness to grant Jalen Pickett substantial playing time, even amid considerable pressure from the front office. This led to a conflicting dynamic where the coach and general manager were at odds, hindering the organization's ability to establish a unified plan. When that situation arises, changes must ensue. Curiously, sources indicate that Booth contemplated dismissing Malone prior to the 2023 championship journey. This highlights the extent of their ideological rift. Yet Booth lacked the power to act on it in 2025, given that his contract extension was still pending. So, why let both Malone and Booth go? Why not take a stance in this ideological conflict? The reason can be traced back to Josh Kroenke's ambition for a total organizational overhaul. The detrimental culture stemming from the Malone-Booth dispute had seeped into every tier of the company. As one insider remarked, there's a lack of trust between coaches and the front office, as well as among front office staff and the coaching team. Such an atmosphere hinders the path to championship triumph. By letting go of Malone and Booth, Kroenke could initiate a complete reset. He could appoint a new head coach and general manager aligned with a cohesive vision for the team's future, thus eradicating the disarray that had been restraining the franchise. However, we must also take into account the defensive issues that afflicted the Nuggets during the 2024-25 season. The squad placed 20th in defensive efficiency, the lowest among all victorious teams in the league. This marked a significant drop from the strong defensive performance they exhibited during their championship campaign. Part of this downturn can be linked to changes in personnel. The departure of key defenders like Caldwell Pope and Brown diminished the team's capacity to make crucial stops. Nevertheless, it falls on the head coach to devise defensive strategies and ensure players are held accountable for their performance on that side of the court. Malone's failure to address these defensive problems surely played a role in the choice to part ways with him. Let's pause for a moment to examine this decision within the larger landscape of NBA dynamics. His dismissal underscores a troubling trend wherein championship-winning coaches find their positions precarious. We witnessed this with Tyronn Lue post-Cleveland victory and Nick Nurse following his historic win in Toronto. The league is growing more impatient, increasingly prioritizing recent performance over previous successes. Is this just the coaches like Malone who have demonstrated their ability to achieve the highest success? Likely not. Yet, it's the current state of the NBA, where chances for championships can vanish in an instant, and owners face significant pressure to make the most of each season. What lies ahead for the Denver Nuggets? Much hinges on whom they appoint as their next head coach and general manager. The organization requires leaders capable of balancing immediate success with future stability, able to satisfy Jokic while nurturing emerging talent, and revitalizing the defensive framework that led to their triumph in 2023. It's clear that the team still revolves around Jokic, and as long as he maintains his MVP-caliber performance, they will stay competitive in the West. The real concern lies in whether this daring mid-season adjustment will propel them back to championship-winning prowess or hinder their ambitions for a dynasty. Ultimately, Michael Malone's impact in Denver is likely to be viewed favorably. He rejuvenated a floundering franchise, elevating it to championship heights, nurtured Jokic from a late draft choice into a star, and bestowed basketball greatness upon a city that had never known it. The painful conclusion shouldn't eclipse the remarkable odyssey. Yet, as sports history teaches us, even the best partnerships can reach their end. The rapport between Malone and specific players had soured to such an extent that a shift was imperative, regardless of previous successes, as Malone's words indicate. It's not my role to assess their reactions. My role is to speak truthfully, sometimes starkly, and this evening was a moment of stark truth. This narrative highlights the transient nature of the NBA. Coaches who have won championships might find themselves dismissed. Star athletes can become dissatisfied, and the chemistry within teams can transform significantly in a matter of seasons. This unpredictability is what renders the league endlessly fascinating. With that, we conclude this thorough exploration. If you're looking to make a change, that's our approach, and honestly, we aren't keen on it, so it unfolds as it does. Nikola Jokic took the entire situation in stride, as if it were merely a regular Tuesday. Shaq was completely opposed to it. I would have preferred a more polished execution. The Denver Nuggets parting ways with Michael Malone just days ahead of the playoffs sent ripples through the NBA. A surge of shock ensued. Some athletes were left speechless, while others expressed sheer rage. In this video, we're analyzing the strongest, most intense, and heartfelt responses to the dismissal of the coach who led Denver to its inaugural NBA title, and how this could signal the beginning of a much larger change. Let's kick things off with the reaction that matters most. Nikola Jokic's response. Being the heart of the team and a three-time MVP, Jokic's words held substantial importance. When the announcement of Malone's dismissal came to light, Jokic disclosed that he had received prior notice from team president Josh Kroenke. In his own remark, Jokic expressed, "I won't go into details about Josh, but I was aware before most," as he communicated that we had reached a decision. It wasn't a conversation, it was a choice. He explained his reasoning to me, and I took it in and agreed. I won't reveal what he shared, though. I'll choose to keep that to myself. This observation is quite revealing as it highlights that even the star player was not part of the discussion regarding the decision. He was simply made aware that it was taking place. The Serbian center, who had forged a strong connection with Malone over nearly 10 years, portrayed that day as burdensome for all parties, particularly for Malone and his loved ones. His words carried a noticeable emotional depth as he contemplated their decade-long partnership. If you're looking to make a change, that's the approach we take. Honestly, we never had the desire to do it, which is what led to the current situation. This succinct remark showcases Jokic's surprising acceptance. There's no overt disapproval of ownership. It's simply an acknowledgement of the reality that unfolds. It's the sort of composed reply you'd anticipate from a seasoned player who grasps the financial aspects of basketball, though it doesn't shed much light on his personal sentiments regarding the situation. When questioned about his interaction with Malone post-firing, Jokic maintained a steady demeanor but did share that he had reached out to his former coach. "Yeah, I figured it was a significant moment for him, given our 10-year relationship. It was a tough day all around, especially for him and his family. But, I understand it's part of the business." This notion of being part of the business appears to be Jokic's method of processing the emotional toll of losing the only NBA coach he has ever had. Nonetheless, while remaining composed, Jokic did provide an interesting cultural insight regarding the impacts of such coaching changes on team cohesion. When someone aims to shift another person's energy, that's typically the approach they take. In my homeland, when a person is dismissed, it often implies that others may feel they're next in line. I believe this definitely influences the dynamics and elicits the desired response. This remark offers an intriguing insight into Jokic's perception, viewing the situation as a calculated attempt to jolt someone into a new mindset. His mention of his native country indicates that such dismissals induce a feeling of insecurity among the remaining team members, leaving them questioning their own positions. When inquired about the time needed to process Malone's dismissal, Jokic highlighted the urgency for a swift adjustment as the playoffs were so close. In this line of work, it's essential to act swiftly, especially with players being so unpredictable and facing two crucial games ahead. Things need a fast pace, truly. The most captivating moment arose when Jokic was queried about the effects of the coaching shift. There was a mysterious tone as he responded to what the awakened beast might resemble. "We shall see. Perhaps we will see, indeed." Following the Nuggets' inaugural match under interim coach David Adelman, where they triumphed over the Kings, Jokic expanded on this beast analogy during a post-game chat. "Yes, but I believe they've managed to gather a reaction. People may claim we're exposed, yet I contend that the beast is at its most formidable and perilous when it seems vulnerable, so perhaps it will unleash the beast." Jokic's reaction during this challenging time is noteworthy for its professionalism. Even as he coped with the emotional toll of losing a coach with whom he had forged a winning connection, he prioritized adaptation and progress. He refrained from criticizing the organization or making demands, choosing instead to accept the decision while recognizing its influence on team dynamics. This composed stance is particularly striking when compared to the reactions of other players around the league, which will be explored shortly. While some felt Jokic should have voiced stronger opposition, his serene acceptance may reflect a keen awareness of the NBA's business dynamics or a commitment to preserving team cohesion as the playoffs approach. Regardless, the Joker's response established a framework for how the Nuggets would approach his unexpected leadership shift, emphasizing professionalism and maintaining focus on upcoming hurdles, instead of fixating on the shocking choice that had just sent tremors through their franchise. In a notable contrast to the outspoken reactions of other NBA personalities, Russell Westbrook's reply to Michael Malone's firing has been remarkably muted. As a pivotal member of the Nuggets, and someone whose presence was reportedly central to the conflicts that resulted in Malone's exit, Westbrook's silence speaks volumes. What adds intrigue to Westbrook's decision to refrain from commenting is that various reports highlighted disputes over his playing time as a key contributor to the discord between Malone and general manager Calvin Booth, who also faced dismissal in the fallout. These reports suggest Booth was frustrated with Malone's choice to prioritize Westbrook in critical situations over emerging talents like Jalen Pickett, a move that allegedly led to the team's downfall in numerous tight contests. A notable event that seemingly intensified discord was a double overtime defeat against the Minnesota Timberwolves on April 1st, 2025. During that match, Westbrook's crucial mistakes, such as a botched layup and a detrimental foul, were instrumental in the loss. Yet, Malone chose to openly support Westbrook and allotted him ample playing time, a decision that allegedly irritated both the team management and several pivotal players. This situation adds an intriguing layer to Westbrook's reticence. Could it be that he felt uneasy discussing the departure of a coach who had unwaveringly backed him, despite his underwhelming performances? Could it be that he recognized his involvement in the team's strife and chose to stay under the radar? Notably, the match right after Malone's dismissal offered hints on how the coaching transition could influence Westbrook's position. During the Nuggets' confrontation with the Sacramento Kings on April 9, 2025, under interim coach David Adelman, Westbrook was observed sitting out the last 9 minutes, a stark contrast to Malone's strategy in tight contests. Sports commentator David Dennis Jr. pointed out this alteration in Westbrook's minutes, remarking that the offense seems to have adopted a fresh approach, partly due to changes involving Russell Westbrook. I can't help but feel a bit sorry for him. I didn't contribute much, particularly in the crucial moments. The Nuggets understand that while the two-man game between Westbrook and Jokic helped them significantly during the season, especially with Jamal Murray sidelined and struggling, playoff time is approaching. Opposing teams will likely ignore Westbrook, daring him to score, lacking confidence in his shooting ability. The recent change in how Westbrook is utilized under the new coach adds complexity to the narrative. If Malone's backing of Westbrook sparked discord within the organization, the swift alteration in his playing time under Adelman may suggest that management viewed Malone's approach to Westbrook as an issue. NBA analysts and social media users quickly began to link Westbrook's impact to Malone's dismissal, with some even claiming Westbrook effectively ended Malone's coaching tenure through his play and the subsequent fallout. Nevertheless, absent any explicit comments from Westbrook, these claims remained interpretations rather than verified truths. What is clear is that Malone publicly stood by Westbrook following significant blunders, a position that seemingly displeased both management and certain teammates. His advocacy for the veteran guard, based on Westbrook's impressive Hall of Fame credentials, allegedly resulted in a decline in his credibility with crucial players. The situation is made more intricate by Westbrook's background. Analysts have observed a trend of coaches losing their jobs at teams he's been part of, with one commentator suggesting that when Russ arrives, coaching staff often face the axe. While these opinions may seem unjust, they highlight the ongoing debate about Westbrook's impact on team chemistry. In the absence of a clear message from Westbrook, we can only wonder how he views Malone's dismissal. Did he feel thankful for Malone's steadfast backing? Did he bear any guilt regarding the coach's firing? Or was he maybe feeling a sense of relief, eager for a new direction with different guidance? Shaquille O'Neal's take. Among the candid voices of NBA greats, Shaquille O'Neal stands out for his forthrightness, and his thoughts on Michael Malone's termination certainly met expectations. A four-time NBA champion and a current personality on TNT's Inside the NBA, Shaquille's insights hold considerable influence in the basketball realm. In contrast to Jokić's careful response, Shaquille was straightforward in voicing his dissatisfaction with the timing and method of Malone's departure. Following the breaking news on a live TNT broadcast, O'Neal promptly critiqued the professionalism behind the decision. I wish it had been handled with greater professionalism. The victorious coach in Denver, when clinching a title, remains in a position to potentially secure another one. Regardless of the circumstances, maintaining some level of home court advantage is essential. Currently, that's the situation. Shaquille criticized the treatment of Malone, a coach who had accomplished what no other coach in Denver's history could, securing an NBA championship for the city. O'Neal underscored Malone's impressive record, noting he was the all-time winningest coach in Denver with 471 victories, stressing that this decision felt especially ungrateful in light of Malone's significant impact on the organization. O'Neal's criticism gained intensity because of its timing. With only 3 games remaining in the regular season and the playoffs approaching, he viewed the move as a potential threat to the team's title aspirations. The battle was intense, as they appear to maintain some form of home field edge. Despite our dreadful performance throughout the season, we managed to secure a victory in Miami. Earlier, we suffered a significant loss to Chicago, falling by nearly 40 points. Afterward, we convened and tensions flared. GP and Dwayne were heading out, and Antoine was involved too. We absolutely should have triumphed over you all. Indeed, you're a shepherd. Yet the season focuses on harmony and gatherings, doesn't it? We haven't reached our prime when it was needed. This tale from Shaq's championship run with Miami offers valuable insights. He emphasizes that championship teams frequently encounter notable challenges throughout the regular season. His message was unmistakable. Despite the Nuggets' recent difficulties, they still possess the necessary components to possibly embark on another title chase, particularly since they maintained home court advantage at the time of the coaching change. Shaq also highlighted various factors that had influenced the Nuggets' inconsistent showing, mentioning that the team had struggled with injuries to essential players such as Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray. He believes that given the situation, the organization should have shown Malone greater patience instead of a sudden firing with the playoffs approaching. The big man's stance was clear. If the Nuggets were dissatisfied with Malone's work, they ought to have postponed any decisions until the postseason concluded. Ideally, I prefer they waited until after the season to say, "Coach Malone, thank you for your contributions." Firing him at this moment feels premature. O'Neal's reaction mirrors the views of many NBA veterans, showing a deep respect for the achievements and history of successful coaches, especially those who have climbed to the peak of the sport. His remarks highlight the admiration he believed Malone merited, considering his championship history, a feeling that seemed absent in the Nuggets' sudden choice. What makes Shaq's response particularly engaging is how it connects to his own journey as a player who triumphed under iconic coaches like Phil Jackson and Pat Riley. He knows intimately the importance of stable coaching, especially as the playoffs loom. His critique wasn't merely about the decision itself, but reflected what he saw as a disregard for a coach who had succeeded at the highest echelon. Carmelo Anthony's response. Within the Denver Nuggets history, Carmelo Anthony is an iconic figure. Having starred for the team from 2003 until 2011, Melo's thoughts on Michael Malone's dismissal offer a distinctive viewpoint rooted in an understanding of the franchise's culture from a previous time. What makes his comments especially interesting is that they were recorded live during his podcast, 7 p.m. in Brooklyn. When Shaq discovered Malone had been let go, it was a candid reaction that allowed fans to see his immediate feelings without any filter. Unbelievable. This short yet impactful expression of shock was merely the start of Anthony's insights on the matter. As the conversation progressed, he delved deeper, providing a thoughtful interpretation of what the dismissal could reveal regarding the team's perspective. What on earth just happened? This suggests that the front office leaders believe we've reached our limit. We've reached our limit. They appreciate it. You've accomplished all there is to achieve. You've triumphed. You've created an incredible atmosphere around him, Denver. You truly are pivotal to the shift in the culture there. But it's clear that it all has to align with Minnesota. That seems to be your high point. I believe the same transformation took place in Memphis as well. You reach your summit. It's essential to reach that summit. Did someone mention something? Anthony's assessment drills down to what he saw as the essence of the issue. The management felt the team had reached its climax during Malone's guidance. His explicit reference to Malone as pivotal in shifting Denver's culture highlights the coach's crucial impact on evolving the franchise into a title contender. Simultaneously, he conveys his belief regarding the organization's rationale. This guy struggles against Minnesota. This statement demonstrates Anthony's insight into the workings of NBA front offices. Success is frequently gauged not solely by total accomplishments, but also by particular encounters and challenges. In this scenario, the Nuggets' battles against the Minnesota Timberwolves have emerged as a significant issue, even with Malone's achievements leading the team. However, it was Anthony's take on the timing that revealed his most fervent critique. Look, that's an excellent inquiry. We consistently discuss the emotions of the coaches and the struggles the organization faces as they assess their approach. In the various chats we recognize in the locker room, you simply don't act that way. I'm not sure who it is. You just don't behave like that. But we have 3 games remaining. Only 4 matches remaining. What shall we engage in? I'm ready to play it off. There's still a chance for you all to make a comeback. Indeed, what compelled you to squeeze the trigger in that manner? It conveys a message to me. It's going to reveal something to me. You all view this season as a lost cause. At this moment, Anthony transitions his focus from the organization to the athletes, highlighting how troubling such a choice can be when a team is gearing up for the postseason. His constant emphasis on not proceeding with that reflects his deep conviction regarding the timing of the dismissal, which he views as the organization effectively conceding defeat for the season. He sees it as a loss. In what may be a contentious viewpoint, Anthony proposed that this scenario necessitates a more assertive reaction from Nikola Jokic. He's not directly attributing Malone's firing to this, but now is the moment for that action. If that scenario were genuine, if our connection was truly like that, and our bond as coach and player was as tight as depicted, I must inform the front office that this is unacceptable. If I haven't already, you get what I'm saying? Unless this has just been a persistent issue. As the one leading, you've isolated me. You've left me on my own. Your remark feels like a direct insult toward me. As a man, you aim to step up and guide us. With another MVP on our roster, this statement from Anthony caught a lot of eyes, especially since Bleacher Report spotlighted his viewpoint that Jokic should have criticized the termination of his relationship with Malone. Anthony implied that as the team's star player, Jokic had not only the authority, but also the obligation to question a choice that impacted him personally, labeling the decision to fire Malone as a serious offense to the MVP center. Later in the podcast, Anthony explored the reasons behind such a sudden decision, suggesting there may be underlying factors beyond basketball alone. The situation is complex. You don't dismiss both the GM and the coach simultaneously. If there's something more significant happening, it likely isn't solely about the game. Anthony's response mirrors the sentiments of the players, pointing out how unsettling such moves can be for a team gearing up for the playoffs. He underscored a disregard for the personal dynamics involved, especially the bond between a star player and the coach who has shaped his journey. As the president of the National Basketball Players Association, C.J. McCollum's response to the dismissal of Michael Malone is significant. His viewpoint represents not only his own feelings, but may also echo the wider sentiments within the players' union concerning coaching stability and management decisions. McCollum promptly took to social media platform X, previously known as Twitter, on the same day as Malone's termination. His concise, yet impactful message read, "This league got a pocket man. WTH going on? Firing good coaches right before the playoffs?" The phrasing that McCollum opted for is notably revealing, labeling the decision as out of touch, a colloquial term for excessive or improper, and describing it as unpleasant work. He conveyed strong disapproval of the choice and its timing. The tweet exploded in popularity, racking up over 3.3 million views and more than 62,000 likes, suggesting that his feelings struck a chord with many followers. What sets McCollum's response apart is its emphasis on a larger trend rather than just this single instance. His mention of multiple coaches indicates he perceived Malone's firing as part of a troubling trend within the league, likely alluding to the earlier dismissal of coach Taylor Jenkins by the Memphis Grizzlies on March 28, 2025, with only 9 games remaining their season. This portrayal of the situation as a league-wide issue, rather than a singular event, was underscored by coverage from media outlets like Sporting News and Newsweek. As a player and the NBA's president, McCollum's views on coaching stability likely arise from his awareness of the effects these choices have on players and overall team dynamics. Sudden coaching shifts, particularly before pivotal events like the playoffs, can severely disrupt team chemistry, tactical plans, and player rotations. His critique signifies a concern regarding how such changes impact the league's competitive fairness and the well-being of players who must quickly adapt to new leadership during the season's critical moments. Notably, McCollum's brief reply is his sole public remark on Malone's dismissal, a limited comment potentially influenced by his own circumstances. On March 31, 2025, McCollum was deemed out for the rest of the 2024-25 season due to a foot injury, which likely curtailed his public engagements during that time. The lack of additional statements indicates that his previous remarks may have been an immediate response rather than a part of an extensive commentary on the matter. It's significant to highlight that there is no known personal or professional connection between McCollum and Malone that could have influenced his response. They never collaborated professionally, with Malone coaching the Nuggets from 2015 to 2025, while McCollum played with the Portland Trail Blazers from 2013 until 2022 before moving to the New Orleans Pelicans. Thus, his response seems rooted in professional admiration for an accomplished coach and apprehension regarding league practices, rather than personal bias. McCollum's response, while succinct, reflects a wider sentiment shared by players and analysts who are scrutinizing the rationale and timing surrounding Malone's firing. Paul Pierce's response was particularly pointed. The Celtics icon and NBA champion was unreserved in his criticism of the decision, offering a fervent evaluation that touched on what he saw as underlying problems within today's NBA culture. Pierce's first reaction unfolded during a live broadcast on FS1 Speak, where his astonishment was clear as he absorbed the information. While elaborating on the termination, Pierce's critique sharpened, honing in on what he perceived as the organization's flawed focus. His remark struck at the core of Pierce's fears that the franchise might be squandering the peak years of one of the sport's finest talents due to choices that compromise their championship dreams. By implying that Jokic could seek a trade, he underscored the direst possibility for Nugget supporters, emphasizing the gravity with which Pierce regarded the potential fallout of this choice. Are you really letting one of the most exceptional players of this era slip away? You're squandering his prime time now. I see this situation as a question. How do you head into the playoffs with a mindset of, all right, team, let's concentrate on winning the championship, when for the next week or two, the chatter will revolve around the coach being let go rather than our championship aspirations? One of the most contentious parts of Pierce's response was his assessment of what he thought triggered Malone's dismissal. In today's era, players often express their discontent openly, saying things like, I don't like him. He talks down to me. Hey, step up to the plate. You're earning $30 million annually. Players these days think it's fine to get injured. Trust me, he's an excellent coach and has won championships. This straightforward viewpoint highlighted Pierce's conviction that the emotions of players had overshadowed a fair assessment of Malone's achievements. He elaborated on this idea during the telecast, proposing that modern athletes are overly sensitive to constructive criticism from coaches. Joker is showcasing his top-level basketball once more and stands a chance at the MVP award, though he may not secure it. Yet, due to someone's bruised feelings in the locker room, there's a mindset forming that questions his value and our odds of winning with him. It's irrelevant. Move past your emotions. He's an accomplished coach who's taken you to great heights, and now some people feel pain because he's gone. That's just the way it is. Tough luck. That's all there is to it. Pierce's defense of Malone highlighted the coach's impressive track record, underscoring his status as the all-time winningest coach for the Nuggets with a record of 510 wins, 394 losses in the regular season, and a playoff record of 44 wins to 36 losses. From Pierce's perspective, these accomplishments warranted greater patience and admiration from the franchise, especially considering his championship win in 2023. Additionally, Pierce criticized the untimely dismissal, which came just 3 games before the playoffs, arguing that this upheaval would adversely affect the team's readiness and overall performance in the postseason. In the locker room, discussions will revolve around the coach being let go. Rather than focusing on the championship, the team will find itself caught up in this issue. How can anyone concentrate on playoff victory when this will dominate every chat moving forward? It truly baffles me. It's bound to be a significant distraction. They might have chosen to delay this action until the end of the season. This focus on the disruptive impact of the timing highlighted Pierce's background as a former athlete who recognizes the necessity of maintaining concentration and stability as the playoffs approach. He forecasted that the dismissal would serve as a considerable distraction, with media inquiries about Malone overshadowing the team's playoff preparations. Pierce also explored the rumored player relationships that could have led to Malone's departure, citing claims that certain players felt resentful towards the special treatment afforded to stars like Jokic and Jamal Murray. Reports indicated that some players were dissatisfied with Malone's reluctance to call out the star for their defensive lapses during film reviews, creating a perceived double standard that allegedly fueled discord within the squad. Pierce's response is striking because he linked his critique of the dismissal to significant issues regarding the Nuggets' future. He perceived this not merely as a flawed coaching decision, but as a threat to the franchise's bond with their key player. Following their championship victory, they seemed focused on keeping the players who aided their success. However, they faltered in the supporting roles, adopting a strategy of plugging in new players, banking on their star to mask their deficiencies. What this indicates is that the Denver Nuggets, by dismissing their coach just days ahead of the playoffs, are jeopardizing their chances at the championship. It suggests they're squandering one of this era's finest players. This evaluation underscores Pierce's worry that the Nuggets have been mishandling a once-in-a-lifetime talent in Jokic through a string of dubious choices, culminating in Malone's removal. If the players had grievances with Mike Malone, that's fine, but they've managed it this far. They could have extended it for a few more weeks. I just don't understand their rationale. This doesn't provide them with the optimal opportunity to secure a championship. I wouldn't be surprised if Joker showcased something impressive. In numerous ways, Pierce's response served as the sharpest condemnation of Malone's dismissal throughout the NBA landscape. He went beyond questioning the timing or the basketball rationale. He highlighted the core values and priorities of an organization ready to part ways with a championship coach right before the playoffs. His caution regarding the potential impact on Jokic's future with the team added a prophetic tone to his message. This resonated deeply with fans and analysts concerned about the franchise's direction. What are your opinions on the matter? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. If you like this video, click on one of the boxes on your screen for more similar content.